Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. Item 1 on our agenda is discussion and consideration of a resolution granting James Hodges of the IT Department the authority to bind the city of Russellville to all legal agreements presented on behalf of the Apple Developer Program, which is needed to complete a mobile app to be used for the city of Russellville. And this account does need to be created for the city to be able to upload the city's app. So it's discussion and consideration. So is there anyone who wants to speak on item 1?
Could you tell me a little more about what this app is, what it's for?
James, is that something you can opine on from up there? No.
So basically, it's going to be a new citywide app that we can go to any other cities and be able to search the website and figure it out. But in order for us to be able to upload it to Apple and Google Play Store, we have to have
Is this also in like an addendum to the updating of our website? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Is there any more discussion on item 1? Hearing none, I move item 1 be forwarded to the full council with a recommendation of approval. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Item 1 is forwarded. We do. It's the 3. The only one we're missing is Chris. Yeah, we have quorum. Item 2 is discussion and consideration of a resolution regarding a service request from Cards for the enhancement of our billing software. This is submitted by Jeremy Myers, Client Services and IT Director.
We do have someone here to speak on that from Cards, Ms. Diamante.
Ms. DeMonte, would you like to step up and let us know a little bit about this? Right over here, sorry. Yeah, right over
If
here.
you'll please state your name and your affiliation for the record, please.
My name is Elena DeMonte. I am the Regional Municipal Manager for Cards Recycling. So did you want me to speak? Very
Yes,
good. Okay. Thank you. I was brought into this because we've had a little bit of a disconnect. The way our programs are running, what we do is we, of course, audit, just like you do in the Finance Committee. And right now, your software program does not have the ability to give us, there is no existing report that can give us like a house count, that with the house count, we get an address, we get how many carts are out there, how many extra carts, excuse me, how many people have a senior discount and who they are. So we have a customer who keeps calling us. On our end, we have a senior discount for them, but your end does not. And there's no work between the two programs. So what we would like is to receive this report every month, and then we can reconcile to it, oh, this person moved in, and you and I, or the city and Cards will be on the same page all the time. So that really is what this request is, just for a really comprehensive report, and we are not asking for anything unusual. We just want to be able to audit what exists or our actuals to what is out there.
So this is just going to give you guys a report that's going to allow you to reconcile your side versus our side?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a reason that, because I was assuming that from the beginning, you and City Corp were going to be working together to communicate all of the needed information. Do we need a resolution for this? Yeah?
What's it going to cost?
Yeah, like is there a fund?
So there is an invoice.
Okay.
Council members, and the invoice states it will not be more than $1,000. and that it is capped at that. Now, it can come in under. I haven't seen that happen with many IT companies. No harm, no foul. So $1,000 is the maximum.
Okay, my question I asked you earlier is, so this is a one-time fee? Because our contract just says we will, as I understand it, Mr. Smith, correct me if I'm wrong, that we will pay for the things that are in the contract between Cards and the city. So is this 3 months from now, are we going to get another bill? 6 months, you don't know?
So I was told that this is a one-time programming, scheduling setup. Everything has to come before you, and at any point you can say, excuse me, we were told on the front end it's 1,000. Let's, you and Jeremy need to step back and fix this. Because my goal is not to come here and request monies from you. Our goal is to make sure that we take care of you and your residents.
Okay, and then one other thing I just want to put out there is, so this is, Citicorp has a new computer program that's running their billing, and so, but your interface and their interface are not matching up enough to do this. Is that correct?
I don't even think it's the interface. I think it's the actual bones of the program. Because if you guys could run a report and send it to us, we could then put it into Excel and we could put it right into our system. So I think that, and I apologize, I am not in depth like Jeremy is on the Citicorp program, but I think that it does not have the capability.
Okay. There's no one from Citicorp here, is there?
Wait, so are you saying that Citicorp software doesn't have the capability to run the report that you guys are needing?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Keller, I've just been informed we will need an appropriation to do this, so.
And it does say that in consideration of a resolution, but there is no resolution for this.
And I do have a copy
don't
of
need
the
it, okay.
invoice. Oh, very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any way to hear from Citicorp before we take action on this?
Well, yeah, we don't vote.
I don't think that they have a whole lot to do with this. It's more that because that's what Jeremy turned it over to.
So what I would like to throw out to the committee is, since we still need to get some information from Citicorp, how this would work, and that we still do have some questions, we still need an appropriation. What I would suggest is item 2 be tabled until next Thursday
To the full council.
to the finance committee and then forward, yeah.
On Thursday.
Does anyone object to
Do
that?
you want Citicorp to come here?
Yeah, that'd be
Ask
great,
Jeremy to
yeah,
come? Okay,
It'd be nice if we could ask
yeah.
some questions about it.
okay.
So I move item 2 is tabled until next Thursday.
Yeah, do we need to make a motion for that?
Yeah, I move that item 2 is tabled until next Thursday.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion on item 2? All those in favor of tabling item 2 till next Thursday? All those opposed? Item 2 is tabled.
Thank you,
Item-
Mr. Monte.
Yes, thank you, ma'am, thank you, and we'll talk more between now and next Thursday. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 3 is consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute an amendment to the agreement with Blackstone Construction LLC as construction manager for the proposed downtown streetscape modification plan to add additional removable crash bollards, scope adjustment for El Paso to Fargo, and multiple drainage improvements. I move item 3 be forwarded to the full council with the recommendation of approval.
Can I ask a few questions? I would like to, do I need to second that before we discuss, or is it?
Technically, yes.
Yeah, second.
Okay, any discussion on item 3?
Yes. Can we get sort of a scope of timeframe on the downtown construction project? And I have a few questions that I want to ask because I've been approached by several, which I'm sure you have too,
Who would you like? Okay. If you'll come to the podium up here, please, and state your name and affiliation. Thank you.
Don Erbach with Blackstone Construction. We are the construction manager for downtown. And Councilmember George, I'd be happy to answer these as part of this, or if you want to do this, and I can come up here as a briefing in between, however you want to do it.
We can do that in the council meeting.
Well, I can do it either way. So, I mean, I'm happy to answer the timeframe for it, so.
But for this specifically, we're adding those crash bollards.
Yeah, so these, I think after some kind of recent events, and then also what has been taking place downtown with probably, would consider not probably significant enough traffic restraints to block off some of the roads. They've been kind of those more plasticky type things. So I think the mayor's wanted to put in bollards to make it more secure. You all did a first round appropriation. It's my understanding that they added some more of a footprint to that, so that will come in as well too. It's another part of the layer cake we'll have to fit in while we're doing the roads, because some of these will be around some of the thermoplastic that we're doing, some of them will be around the roads. So how those are designed and put in, we, I think, have a fairly good idea. Just get finalized as far as what, you're gonna basically be in concrete swaths that will have the ability to put the bollard into the ground. So that's kind of the bollard component. The other pieces are some drainage areas that the drainage downtown is fairly flat, and we have not added very much drainage to this project at all. In fact, they did some fixing of the drain at the depot. These are a couple of places that we've recommended to Glenn to add that we're going to have some problems. Just in the way the design fits in, it's kind of hard to make the water go uphill in a couple places. Yeah, so two of these are drainage areas from privately held that we've built that are built up enough that it's going to retain water on those parking areas. So we have some sloughs that we're putting in, and then we're adding drainage at Commerce and Main Street in that area. It's in front of the beauty salon there, to add some to that, because we're holding water there. And then the others are further down Commerce in that area to help with the drainage there as well too. So between the design engineer, Morgan Barrett, and ourselves and our concrete contractor, we just felt like these were improvements that were going to be necessary and the right time to do them. Problem is, you don't really want to do it after. So that's kind of the context of what we have for this appropriation. So.
Everything's looking great. I'm excited about the finished product. So.
Yeah. So, and I'll be here and happy to come up and as far as questions and all the rest of the stuff.
After
So,
we get through finance,
yeah,
some questions I want to ask.
absolutely, and happy to answer those. So, all right. Anything else?
For the good of the committee, just on the additional bollards, this was something that, if you remember when the mayor came and talked about the bollards initially, there was some questions about, well, why aren't we doing, for the entire area that is where we're doing the downtown streetscape. And he said he just wanted to do a couple, but in other discussions, he said, well, it would cost less to go ahead and put them in now. And so it's going to save money to put these additions in now at the first part, as opposed to going in and waiting and then having to cut and then do the things that we're trying to avoid in the first place with this whole project. Is there any other discussion on item 3?
Make the motion to move to the full council with recommendation for approval.
All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Item 3 is forwarded. Item 4 is a consideration of a resolution authorizing the mayor and the city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement with Burns and McDonald for traffic signal and pedestrian improvements at the intersection of North Arkansas and Reesner Lane and for other purposes. I move that we send item 4 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Can I ask a question?
Most definitely. Any discussion?
Yes, so currently, if at that intersection, I know we have our trail system that's eventually going to go in there, and I'm glad you're approaching the dais there, so maybe you can tell us right now, if it's a pedestrian improvement, it's going to be a pedestrian improvement to nowhere for a pedestrian to go if they're going east, because Reasoner has no sidewalks or anything, so I was just wondering if there's a plan to redo Reasoner.
Well, no, actually, we haven't talked about adding more sidewalks there. I mean, we have sidewalks going up past the fire station, and then it stops, you're correct. But that is definitely something we're in the right stage that we can look at that, definitely.
Okay.
I can say that while there may not be anything on Reasoner going up that way, crossing from Maine at that point, there is no place to cross
No,
safely.
there's not.
Yeah.
There's not.
And I do
I was
know
just
that
hoping for
pedestrians
more
are using
resources
it.
across the way there
Yeah.
because I know that's going to develop and there's all kinds of talk about this or that.
We-
And so,
There are projects surrounding Reasoner Lane.
Yes.
We were talking about one sales tax and that being passed. We do have scheduled projects.
well, we've got the
Yes.
new EMS facility going out there at the county. I mean, so there's a need for, Reasoner Lane's pretty desolate right now. And
It's-
so,
It's definitely something we will discuss first thing in the morning.
And, theoretically, when we do actually have the drainage project there with and then the entrance with Arkansas Tech and
Yes.
then all the other stuff that's going on and that we've been
All
talking
around that
about for
area.
years,
Yes.
there will be sidewalks, which will then allow
Yeah,
folks to
yeah.
cross. So I think that it's kind of forward-looking. Is there any other discussion on item 4? All those in favor of forwarding item 4 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Item 4 is forwarded. Item 5 is consideration to add a community relations account line to the cemetery budget and to transfer $75.64 for a cemetery improvement line item number 24.101.5343 to community relations line number 24.10 or .101.5224. What can you? Second. Any discussion on that? Is that just adding so that it's a little bit easier for the accounting?
There's that, but also just what it's used for, it needs this new line item for publications, for community, in case she has to print stuff out.
Okay.
Things,
Yeah.
events in the cemetery, whether they're headstone cleanings or historical.
Got the big decoration day coming up, I believe the 17th of May. So, yeah, this is great. Any other discussion on item 5? All those in favor of forwarding item 5 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Item 5 is forwarded. Item 6 is discussion to create a format or procedure to decide on the final applicant for the purchase and/or use of the city property containing the church and auxiliary building. This is sponsored by Councilman Paul Gray. Mr. Gray, I'll give you the floor if you'd like it.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all, I know I've gotten calls on prospective suitors for this property back here, and so I'm looking to propose, I'd like for us to come out of here with some sort of idea of what the next step is and how we're going to go forward. If everybody has enough information to make a decision based on what we've heard so far, then I think maybe we're okay. Or would we like to hear a final presentation with, I was thinking something like a one-pager, and you got 2 or 3 minutes to give your final pitch, and then we can make a decision. Now, of course, all of this is incumbent upon an appraisal. We have no appraisal yet, so we can't really move forward to there, but given the calls I've had, I would like for us to come up with some mechanism to move forward, because we've got proposals from the Howell Group, the Miller Group, the Russellville Playhouse Group, and Mr. Duffield. So that's what I'm proposing. So it's kind of up to y'all now. I'd like to hear what you think, how we ought to go forward. But I would like to get something in place because we can't just let this string out forever.
Mr. Gray, I mean, has the appraisal been ordered? I mean, we're just waiting for it to come back?
The mayor told me a couple of weeks ago or a week and a half ago that, it was when he went to Washington. I talked to him and he said that the guy was working on it, but we haven't gotten anything back yet. Have you heard anything?
I just sent him an email to ask him what the status of it is.
Okay.
Because
so-
that's kind of our biggest hurdle, you know, until we figure out what that's going to be. I don't know how we do any, any
Well,
decision-making.
I'm just looking for what it's worth, so then we can go forward. Mr. Smith, can you remind us of what the parameters are? If we get an appraisal, it's worth X. Can we take it for that value? Do we have to take it that value? Can we take it above value? What are the parameters of going below value, et cetera?
There's no set, it's just using your best judgment on the property at the time, using the appraisal. The county has something about, I think you can't sell it less than 75%, but that's a state law, which is not, there's no such law at the city level.
Okay, thank you. Other ideas, questions?
I mean, I like the idea of having folks come in and give a one page, this is what the project is, you know, with more details than we got last time as far as like what the financials, so on and so forth. And then allowing us to then deliberate on that a little bit more.
So the other thing would be a timeline. I guess we're,
Because I know that we got folks
should be having
waiting as
appraisal
well,
any day.
so.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, I know that obviously we've got 4 entities that are waiting for us to do something so that they can then do something.
Right.
And so,
I guess, so if it comes back higher than some of the entities we're expecting, I mean, I feel like we need to make like a date, like if we get this appraisal in 2 weeks, if they still want to go forward, because what if it comes back way more than anticipated?
Right.
So will we have so by next week, could they come then if we get it back this week? And do like a final
I just
presentation?
got information that we should have it any day, but you know that sometimes that any day is a week from now. But I don't know. But yes, I'm in agreement that we need to get some structure in place, and if that is, I would be glad to entertain that at the meeting on a week from Thursday if we have an appraisal. So is the one pager with a 3-minute? No, is that
so are
something
you,
that-
are you saying at our meeting next Thursday on the 15th?
I would be okay with that because that gives the applicants a date that they know that here's a hard deadline, and we can notify them as soon as we get the appraisal. And then we've heard it. We kind of know what everybody wants to do. Everybody gets a last pitch, and then we have new information with how much the property's worth.
And then we would vote? I mean, at some point, we have to decide.
Well,
correct?
I'm not sure we could decide, maybe we could decide that night. I mean, if you're ready to decide, because I think that would bring out, all the pros and cons of each one. Or maybe maybe we need to hear the one pagers and then we've got a chance to look into everything and we make a decision in June. That's why I brought this up, because obviously we've still got a lot of questions. June is 10th, and the 10th, and then the 17th is the council meeting because of municipal league.
I mean, do we really want to do anything next week if we don't even have an idea of when the appraisal comes back?
Well, if we got the appraisal tomorrow, or the next day, that would give us a week. And then that would give the applicants a week to get everything together. If the appraisal doesn't come in this week, then it's probably all bets are off. But I'm still not sure after next Thursday we would be willing or be ready to vote, because I'm sure extenuating circumstances are going to come up. I know about a couple of proposals. I have a couple of serious questions about them. So that's something that could come out during that time.
What if, from a timeline perspective, and I know that our special calls and whatnot can be cumbersome and eat into our own personal time and stuff like that. But what if, since we are still waiting and we have no idea if any day means tomorrow or next Wednesday, what if we said we had a working session on the 21st and then we had a special call on the 28th? Working session, we could just hear them. We couldn't make any decisions that night, but we could, in a more relaxed setting.
I couldn't, I wouldn't be available on the 28th. I could do 21st, but.
Yeah, or the 27th or the 29th or any other. I was just thinking to have, if we just scheduled the two meetings now, saying, come tell us the final pitch this night, and then in a week after we've mulled it over, we could come together and make some sort of decision.
What day were you suggesting the working session? I'm sorry, Justin.
It doesn't really matter what day. I suggested the 21st and the 28th, but if the 28th doesn't work, then it could be the 21st and the 27th, or the 29th, or the 26th.
How about this? What if we do a working session on the 21st, and then we can do a special call on our agenda prep on the 10th? That way we've got time to, because there's a holiday packed in there too, and it's going to be hard for folks to, for all of us. I can't be here on the 28th. I could the 27th, but not the 28th.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, if that's what everyone would like to do. I don't know if anyone else's schedule works for a working session on the 21st.
It's fine with me.
Works for me.
Okay, so let's have a working session on the 21st, and then we'll do a special call along with our agenda prep. And who is going to reach out to the four? I know we have one person here tonight, but we've got the other three.
I don't either, but I know the mayor has communicated with each one of them.
Okay.
So I'm assuming the mayor could
Okay,
reach out to him.
so let's talk to the mayor and Debbie about reaching out to them, let them know that
Gina
we're going to be
will
meeting them.
liaise with Debbie to make sure the mayor reaches out to all of them.
Thank you. Anything else on item 6? What do we need to?
Yeah, if you'll just come up to the,
Hi, I'm John Pistone with Russellville Playhouse. I know most of you. I have a question on what you guys were just talking about. Is this, or a request, is this special session that's going to happen, can that just be for this agenda? Because last time we were here for 6 hours.
yeah, you got caught in the
Before we ever
perfect
got
storm
caught
that
up.
night.
We were told it was specifically for that, and we had people that had to leave because of it, because we weren't aware that there were other items being discussed. So that would be a request that I have.
So you're
that-
talking about the special call, the working
Yeah,
session?
Yeah, or if other things are scheduled, just if you could let us know, because we didn't know last time. And
Well, the work session would be on the 21st, and as of right now, that would be the only item that would be on that.
Okay,
So that would be easy. On the 10th for agenda prep, Mr.
that's
Keller,
that one I'm not concerned with that.
Okay, all right.
The other request that I have is that we get 5 minutes instead of 3. We could do it in 3. I could do it in 1, but
I would defer to the finance chair right now, since this is his
Okay.
meeting right now.
Well, I mean, we're all the same.
I know,
It's
but
the
it's
finance,
still,
but we're all deciding, I mean, for, as far as the parameters go, I've got no problem with giving everyone 10 minutes to give us their spiel and go over anything they want to go over. But if they want to give a 5, it's up to the group.
let's go with
Let's
5.
keep it
That's
at
what I
5.
proposed. Now, you're
Type
talking
5.
about a
Thank you.
40-minute, just for that one item, so.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pistone. It's a good question.
Okay, item 7, discussion of a possible sister city program, sponsored by Councilman Gray. We do have someone signed up to speak.
Yes, Mr. Van Hoot has asked, we brought this up about a year and a half ago. We did have some good things come out of that. We got our astronomers from France showed up for the eclipse out of that. But I think Mr. Van Hoot's got some updated things, and he has given everyone a handout here. So I will turn this over to you, Mr. Van Hoot.
How do I get this presentation over there?
It should
Oh, there you go.
show up, and then you'll just use up and down arrows.
Okay, there you go. Thank you very much. Yes, 18 months ago, I came to introduce the concept, and today I have the news that I found a city in Belgium called Enghien that has agreed, if we are to agree, to be sister cities with us. So to start, there is now the Russellville Sister Cities Foundation that has been created last week, and I am now its president. We have discussed the name, addresses, officers, mission, vision, purposes, and we are now working on the bylaws because this is going to be a 501c3. For the funds for this 501c3, here's a map of Belgium with its neighbors. For the funds for this 501c3, there is a tourism funding application for a community grant that was filed at the Advertising and Promotion Commission. And Christy Graham will be presenting that to her committee and to her board. And the money that we would get from her would allow us to file for the 501c3 with the IRS and for the articles of incorporation with the state of Arkansas. Here's a general map of Brussels, and on the upper right you can see the airport, and the lower left is the city of Enghien. The train ride is 1 hour without stops, or I should say without changing train. How this board could work and partner with the city of Russellville, we have a vision. Our vision is to develop respect and understanding and cooperation through citizen diplomacy and involvement, which will contribute to world peace and prosperity. Our mission is to foster friendly and positive relationships between the citizens of Russellville and other international cities, to start with Enghien in Belgium, by creating virtual and in-person exchanges in areas of arts, education, tourism, business, sports, civic activities, and government. Both the mission and the vision are centered on the Russellville community. We plan to sensibilize the community into the advantages such relationships can offer. This would be of great value for our young people who are the leaders of tomorrow. We want to prepare our young community for the international world. Since, Mr. Chairman and Chairwoman, you are the elected representative of this community, the Russellville Sister Cities Foundation is asking for your advocacy, encouragement, and practical help, such as being able for the board to meet at City Hall. This would definitely help us fulfill both our mission and our vision. On the screen here, we have a map of Enghien. The red line is the territory. The territory of Enghien is about half the territory of the city of Russellville. The population of Enghien is about half of the population of Russellville. As you can see in that area, there are lots of fields and agriculture pastures. Enghien is a small city that we do call a dorm city, which means that the people who live there, most do not work there. They take a train. It's going to be half an hour for them to get to the capital city of Brussels. We have some projects that are already in line. We have, in mid-June, a Friendship Cities kickoff introductory video conference between the mayors of Russellville and Enghien. The Russellville Sister Cities Foundation plans to present our Friendship City, Enghien, and our mission, vision, and project to several communities in this community. We have, of course, the whole community of Russellville. We have the schools, RHS, or RHS, the 567 school, and all the elementary school, and possibly the Chamber of Commerce, and others as will be planned. The Russellville Sister Cities Foundation could have an information booth, for example, at the 2025 Fall Fest in October to sensibilize the community about sister cities, Belgium, and Enghien. The most important question was, who's going to pay for all this? Well, the Russellville Sister City Foundation plans to have some fundraising activities that will allow it to sustain its financial needs without financial intervention from the city. Yay! On the back of your little flyer, you have some links. Don't try to tap on them on the paper, it won't work. Here we have a view of Enghien. Enghien is a city that is kind of crowded. Here's one of the landmarks. This is the steeple of the Catholic Church. Here, another landmark. It's a chateau. It's used now for some exhibits, and it's beautiful in a beautiful little park. Another panorama of the city. As you can see, all the houses are kind of conglomerate to each other. The city is about 800 years old. One of the streets. This is the old city hall. It got too small, so they had to build a new one. Another street, as you can see, they're tiny. This is an important part. This is the equivalent pretty much of the RHS in Enghien. The school has about 1,200 students. One of the goals in this Sister City project is in-person exchanges. These exchanges could start with high schoolers coming from RHS and going to visit Belgium to see what life is in Belgium and in a school in Belgium. In exchange, some students from Belgium would come here to feel the American dream, maybe? In any case, that type of experience is extraordinary because people are staying in host families, not in hotels. And so there is a huge learning curve as how other people in other places live and work. Let's not forget sports. This is a whole complex. They have tons of different sports over there, as we do have here. But the sports over there are not necessarily connected to the school system. There is a park that includes a chateau that we saw a picture of. It's beautiful and everybody can walk. It's free. It's owned by the city. There's a big golf club over there, and I know that the mayor of Enghien is a big fan of golf, and he already told me that he's planning to come here to play on the three courses that we have around here. And here are some, again, links. If you have any questions.
So what are you needing from the city to move forward in something like this?
advocacy, encouragement, and practical help, not money.
You're speaking the finance committee's language there.
Well, but also, we have a grant administrator, correct? And would they have access to communicate with our grant administrator to see if there are public funds available for these types of activities?
I would think with the blessing of the council, but I don't
Yeah.
know. Mr. Smith's not in here right now.
Well, because I mean, I know a lot of times any type of grant money that gets sent has to go through, like pass through
yeah.
us, and so yes, we would be, you know,
Who would I talk to about this?
well, we have the grant administrator that we have. Her name is Kelly Dinkle, and so you just call City Hall and ask
And
to
ask
talk to
to-
Miss
okay.
Dinkle, and she could let you know. She could look for funds available for that type of.
But Mr. Gray said
So
that it
with-
has to be in agreement.
Well, I'm going to let the finance chair speak because this is his
Well,
meeting. And
what I would say is, without Trey here, I would not want to commit us working on a grant or anything like that, simply because then the Russellville Grant Administrator's job could be being approached by any 501c3 in our community to then look for grants for them as opposed to for the city.
I think that this is a little different because it has it is in interaction with the city itself, especially if we're talking about just, meeting the mayors and doing things like that. So
here's the city attorney who could answer that question. The idea had been floated that our grant administrator could potentially look for and apply for grants for the Russellville Sister City Foundation, and in forwarding that efforts. And my question was, is that something that we could do for a non-city entity? Would it be opening us up to then be looking for grants for any other 501c3s who would like us to?
Probably would, but is this something that the city's going to eventually have to sponsor? I mean, is there going to be some type of a city affiliation or contract or agreement or something down the road?
Yeah, so I guess that's a good question from an administrative process. Like, is there some sort of, like, we would have to say yes. How do we say yes, and what sort of?
we would have to create some sort of resolution.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that we'd have to have a resolution for that, but then we're going to have to sign what sort of documents would need to be signed? What sort of agreements would need to be made between the city of Russellville and Anguillon?
The Sister City program is just a civic and a citizen engagement in between the cities. What would be signed, if it would be just a chart between the two mayors, just saying that the two cities have agreed to be friends and sister cities.
I went to Hot Springs and talked to their city manager about their Sister City program. It would be kind of like what Mr. Van Hoot just said, and it's basically goes, how far do we want to get into this? For example, Hot Springs, their sister city is Hanamaki, Japan. It started with hey, we're friends, and then Hanamaki said, hey, we want to come to Hot Springs and make sake. They opened a sake plant, and they make sake. That led to, tangentially, in Northeast Arkansas, opening of Japanese steel mills. If you've looked at your City and Town magazine this month, it's got a whole spread on Hot Springs. It started as this sort of thing and then grew into an economic and cultural exchange. They have funded their foundation in such a way that a student could travel there at no cost. If the student can't afford it, they've got that kind of program going. But again, this was years in the making, not overnight. And students from Hot Springs go there, and kids from Japan come to Hot Springs each year. There's parental chaperones and all that kind of stuff. But that would be all the inner workings of the foundation, not the city.
No, I am all for this project. I think it'd be very, very beneficial in lots of different ways. I'd like to move forward. I just want to make sure that we're dotting i's and crossing t's that we have to on our end. So we're still having discussion on this, so I don't know what else, Mr. Gray.
I just brought this item forward. I am in favor of some sort of partnership like this. Mr. Smith, would we just need a resolution that says, hey, we're good with this foundation, we're like, check that box that we're for you, but we're not committing any kind of resources of the city other than our blessing?
I think that's the first, that appears to be the first step, yes.
Okay.
Would you like to work on getting that done maybe for next week?
I can
Or-
work on a resolution. I will call Hot Springs and see what kind of resolution they have, and maybe that I can get a little verbiage or whatever, and then I'll send it to Mr. Smith and see
Because if we're
what
looking
needs to be done with it.
at the first potential thing being a virtual meeting of the mayors in mid-June, it would be something we'd need to start now, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice to share that with them at that meeting and say,
It's very casual. It's nothing fancy. The very first article in the little paper that I give you is talking about friendship cities and sister cities. So we start at the first level, friendship city. It's a first stage, short-term, and very much less formal than its counterpart as a sister city, where, the two cities have kind of more formally accepted to cooperate.
Yeah, only Little Rock and Hot Springs in Arkansas, I believe, have official, maybe North Little Rock too, official sister city programs. They're part of the International Sister City Program. But
Fort
it started
Smith.
in these informal,
Fort Smith has
things.
two in Italy
Fort
also.
Smith as well.
Yeah, no, I got no problem with being friends with Ongyang.
Nice.
I know, I love it.
I will say that every time someone has mentioned high school students going over there, this section of the room was like super excited about it. For those in the virtual world,
Well,
this
at
is,
least the
this
sophomores
is
and
our-
juniors,
yeah.
not so much the seniors, but
this is our youth council are excited about the opportunity to do that. So let's move, and hopefully we'll have something next
yeah,
Thursday.
I will, I'll work on a resolution. Yeah, yeah, please.
Okay, is
Do
there
we,
any,
do we need a motion to, or of any kind to go forward, or is I just need to bring something next week?
It'll just be on since it's not disposed of. so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So Mr. Gray will communicate with me, I guess?
Yeah, I'll reach out to you. Well, go ahead and if you'll shoot me an email, and then I will reach out to Hot Springs and see if I can get their resolution, when they started theirs, for just some starting verbiage, or I'll just go to my old friend ChatGPT and go from there. So,
Okay.
Claude's the way to go, man. Is there any other discussion on item 7? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very excited about this.
thank you.
Item 8 is consideration of reimbursement request for the first quarter expenses for the Alliance for Economic Development contract in the amount of $44,825.76. Is there anything do we need to know about, Mr. Smith? No. Okay.
Move that we send to the full council with recommendation of
All right. Any other discussion on item 8? Okay. All those in favor of sending item 8 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, say aye. All those opposed? Item 8 is forwarded. Mr. Gray, I yield the floor back to you.
All right. That's the end of the finance meeting. We will take about let's just, what time is it? It's 6:25. We'll be back, take a comfort break, and we'll be back then. All right.
That's okay. So how do I get out of this? This arrow?
Escape.
So he told me you come down here. That one, and there you are, right there, right? And you want to, uh-oh, I didn't click it. Where'd the damn mouse go? Let me try this again, buddy. I think, now how did you say make it big just up there?
20 minutes late.
Yay! Yay! He'll do it. You do it? Yeah, he does it.
It was. I actually, it's funny because just the other day I was saying, because we talked about it, so I'm glad it's moving forward, and that's super cool. Most folks are going to be on, like, all of us. So I'm assuming they work probably in Russell since that's in the very close. What's their industry? And again, my thing with the grant writing wasn't, I don't want to, it was I don't want to ignore the bid every 501c3 is going to come in here this last year. But it, yeah, but it sounds like if we were able to formalize and start the process, become friendship cities officially and so on and so forth, that would be something that would be able to without opening it. That's neat. That's neat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Do I gavel into this too? Okay. All right, welcome back. We will now enter into our regular agenda prep. I'm the only one here with got a computer out around this. So I'm going to pull up a random generator. I want to make sure we do the don't forget our prayer person. So how many's on the list?
32.
Okay. Number 1 is 10. No, it's 10. The first, because we always do 3.
Okay, daily cost. Do another one.
Okay. 29. And then 30. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll have our financial report, obviously, from Ms. Baker next week. In the meantime, we have Public Works going to give us a little bit of a overview of what's going on, what to expect.
Well, for my report tonight, Jason here's going to give y'all some good information about Prairie Creek, and I think it'll be information that y'all will
I know, I was promised
greatly
good news,
appreciate.
so.
So I'll let Jason introduce himself.
Howdy, I'm Jason Funkhauser. I'm the program manager at the Little Rock District Corps of Engineers, and I'm the manager of this project, have been for several years. This has been an ongoing project for quite a few years. We've made a lot of headway, thanks to Kenneth and his staff, Glenn Newman, over the past few years, and the light is getting brighter at the end of the tunnel. So if you could switch to my presentation. Okay, thank you. I've got 4 or 5 slides, real brief, but I always like to do this, just tell you what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to give a brief update on the project, the overall objectives of the project, the benefits to downtown Russellville, some of the hurdles we've overcome, and then a projected timeline for the next couple of years. So the objectives of this project were to reduce the flooding, or are to reduce the flooding in the downtown area, and reduce the risk to life and safety for people. It will widen in several areas the main stem of Prairie Creek, anywhere from about 20 feet to 50 foot wide, from Boston Street down to Arkansas Tech University in the Sump area. We're going to demolish 2 bridges, if you don't know, Commerce Street Bridge and West Parkway Bridge, and replace those bridges to increase the flow capacity through the bridges. Basically, they're doubling in size. The bridges are, the openings will be. There will be some traffic disruptions. We're working with the contractor to minimize those, especially with the West Parkway Bridge. We will do the best we can to manage the traffic and reduce the impacts to the downtown area, but there will be some. That's just the reality. The project also involves moving and relocating electrical lines at City Mall. Some of that work's been ongoing right now, not actually at the mall, but near it. Entergy started moving the power lines probably a couple of months ago for the project, and I think they're projected to get done sometime in July, I believe, is what Glenn told me earlier today. The benefits of this project, like I said, it reduces the frequency of flooding in Prairie Creek. From the numbers from our econ report several years ago, it lessens the frequency of flooding from a 2-year event to a 5-year event, so that's good. That's a pretty big impact. You get most of your benefits on those frequent events, the 2, 5, and 10-year events. So if you can lessen the frequency of those, you really increase your benefits. You're looking at a benefit of around $2.5 million for each 2 to 5-year flood event, so that's pretty significant. Approximately 30% fewer structures are going to experience flood damages, particularly at these more frequent events. And we have additional benefits that are realized at the 10-year flood event and beyond. So it's got a high BCR, benefit cost ratio. It's a good project. It's just taken a little while to get here. Some of those hurdles, we've had changing leadership at the Corps and here at the city throughout the life of the project. I believe the initial, request from Russellville that I saw came in about 2010, 2011 to start this project, so it's been going on a long time. But there's been several stops. The city has stopped a few times, and the government stopped a few times because of money. So it's just taken a while to get here, the budget challenges. There's been a lot of easement work. That's what Glenn's been working on for the past few years. This is a lot of easement acquisitions, 30 temporary work easements, 25 permanent channel, 9 roadway, 15 property acquisitions. I mean, this is a lot. It's a big, for a smaller scale project, the amount of real estate involvement was tremendous. I had to relocate one of City Corporation's water lines, and then, of course, we had the energy power line moving. So this is my last slide, just to kind of give you an idea as to how long this is going to take. We are getting closer and closer to that start date. I call that month 0. It takes about 3 months to finalize the contract, get the final plans approved that the contractor has, and start the bridge work. Takes about 12 months to get both of the bridges done completely. I think they're going to, I don't know if they'll start with Commerce or Parkway. We haven't seen their final schedule yet. Finish the bridge work and start the channel widening. Happens at about month 12, so about a year into the project, and that part will take about 6 more months before the project's final. So all said and done, we're looking at approximately 18 months from start to finish. And starting pretty soon. I just got some great news today at 4:30. The contract was actually awarded, which is fantastic. And that means we'll be issuing the notice to proceed, assuming there's no issues or problems with that contract award, sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we should start seeing some movement this summer for sure. So with that, I will take any questions that you all might have.
So on the bridges, I'm assuming we'll take out one and start working on it, and then we wouldn't have them both out at the same time?
That
Okay.
is correct, that is correct. They'll do one bridge at a time, and they're supposed to submit a traffic plan approved by the Corps and by the city as well to see how they're going to route that traffic, show us how they're going to route that traffic. And of course, signage, and if there's a sidewalk closures, proper instructions for pedestrians using the sidewalks, which ways to go around the construction site.
Do you anticipate much other traffic disruption other than the 2 bridges?
I mean, compared to especially the West Parkway Bridge, it'll be pretty minimal, I would presume. But there will be some.
So I'm expecting at the end of this process that we will have like a lazy river situation
Yeah.
with tube rentals and summer fun.
Yeah.
Is that what we should expect from?
If that's what you would like to do, absolutely, you're more than welcome to. Our main objective is to move that water out of the city, though, so it might be a fast ride.
So, based on your timeline, are you saying that month 0 is going to be sometime this summer?
Based on this, if we issued the award today, and we don't actually issue the notice to proceed till around the 1st of June, so you're looking around, month 0 would be sometime in early June.
Oh, great.
So you should be seeing some earthwork this summer, the latter part of this summer.
So we're looking around the first part of 2027, this project being completed, hopefully.
Yeah, well, the end of 26.
Yeah.
First of 27, yes.
So the first bridge would be about the time school starts? August,
Yeah.
September?
That's correct. And again, I don't know which bridge will go first.
That's always fun. I was just hoping to.
Right about the time that the downtown project is completed, we're going to be tearing down bridges.
I see Don
So
shaking his head.
for the downtown liaison, that's
Yeah. It's progress, though. It's progress.
Thank you. It is exciting to see something that's taken so long and required the involvement of so many different groups finally coming to a completion.
Yeah, and I have to, again, give my hats off to Glenn Newman, the city engineer. He's been an amazing individual to work with, and he has done a lot of work on this project. From the real estate to actually reviewing our plans and specs, I mean, he's a good asset for the project for sure. And
Well,
for
and
sure
just
for the
keeping up
city.
with all those easements and everything too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't understand, we get communications from citizens saying, why hasn't this been done? Why hasn't that been done? And even like we've seen with this downtown project, there are so many entities involved. And from different, it's not like we can just decide for ourselves that we're just going to start digging up the ground, right there and doing the thing. Even if we had all the money we needed right then and there, it would still be, obviously years, like the downtown project is a 10-year project that we're just now seeing come to fruition. And then this has been almost, half again more than that.
Yeah.
So
It's a lot of work, a lot of time. And our commander takes this project very serious. It's high priority to him. He's going to want a groundbreaking ceremony. There's a lot of eyes on this project. And he's assigned, I forgot to introduce my colleague, Joey Imperial. He's our construction rep for this, so he's going to be assigned to this project to be here almost probably every day, making sure that things are getting done as quickly and as orderly as possible. So very high profile to the Corps of Engineers.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Don, do you want to give an update on DIG project?
Again, Don Erbach with Blackstone, construction manager for the downtown Russellville improvements. One side note with that, Blackstone just finished it up some utility relocations for this project. Actually, today we poured some final concrete for it, so it's been moving along in the works. So, downtown, I know there's been a number of questions, and I'll kind of take them as we go, and I'm going to actually probably just start on the west side of the project and move through. I believe, depending if we got the rain done today, we finished the necessary curb and gutter work on El Paso, and we look to do paving on El Paso in the next couple of weeks. So we should have a flat surface basically from the railroad tracks. With the exception of Main Street, that section in the middle we won't do until, that's another part of the project that will get done as a bid item from this process from Fargo to Highway 7, but we will have El Paso will be a smoother surface. There is a little caution to that. One, speeds will pick up significantly on El Paso when it's smoother. One of the things that has been good about the rough surface is it's been quite traffic calming, which is helpful. It's been very helpful for us from construction, but I know people are complaining about it. But it does go, it's going to be a narrower road at this point. We'll have a bike path next to it and a narrower road. So we'll probably have some new traffic pattern signs and some other things out there as well too, but it is something that should get done. But hopefully that will get some people feeling a little better about that project because that's a heavily used route. And we'll also try and get a short section of Commerce here done basically from 2nd Street to Main Street as well too. That's another one that's just a mill and fill. As far as the roads go, we're going to go through each one of them individually. It won't be that we'll just come down and pave because again, back to the grades are important to make sure that we have the right drainage. Very flat, there's not a lot of crowning on the roads, so we're going to want to make sure that we have the roads done correctly, otherwise we'll end up impounding water in the places that we don't want it. Some of the roads are a little easier to do for us. El Paso is actually an easier road to mill and fill, so we'll mill it. It'll be smoothed out, milled down, and then paved, and be a good surface for it. And we'll start working through the roads as we get there. We need to have the curb and gutter done before we can do that final work. As you've seen, Bowden's got a lot of stuff done on El Paso in the past couple of weeks because we've been able to get all of our utility stuff in. So a lot of this has really come together fairly quickly on the west side of the project. We are still waiting for Entergy to place 3 poles, which will be close to the railroad tracks across from Sugar Creek. We need that to be able to get the terminus of the duct run in El Paso, which is actually the main line. It's got both the main communication and electric lines on it. When we're able to get up those poles, Entergy and the communications companies will be able to start pulling their lines. It's our understanding that Entergy is planning to start prepping to put in their assets we said middle of May, so that in theory, that could be next week. They're gonna start pouring some pads for some switch gears and transformers that will go in. We understand they're still waiting for some equipment, but I know they do have some of it in, so hopefully we'll start to get them in. Brightspeed is ready to start pulling some of their lines as well, so once we get those finalized, hopefully we'll actually get some of those assets into the ground. That goes a long way as we move from west to east to being able to start to energize some of these different pieces we've put in. We've kind of through hook and crook got some of the lights energized on Main Street that have helped like in front of the dance studio, but we also now, if you've noticed, just yesterday got all but I think one of our old street lights removed. If you haven't had a chance, take a look. That in of itself has made a significant improvement just on the look of downtown. And if you can imagine what it's gonna look like if we get some of these lines down. But they're placing those. When we get Entergy pull, we'll be able to start powering those. Entergy has informed us that they plan to phase it in, so we'll start at El Paso and start moving east. As far as the duct run itself goes, we are now working on Denver in the area of Fat Daddy's and that alleyway. Like everything else, we had to work on a little redesign there because of the stuff that's under the ground and be able to work around it. We'll soon be moving down B Street.
And the pole, I heard
Oh, oh yeah, well, we need new poles set, which is gonna be, an issue, because there's a lot on that. But, like, we've had several of these poles that are, interestingly enough, I think they're actually being held up by the wires, not the opposite way around. So, so we've had a few of these. Again, the merchants have been fantastic there. One of the questions that I have had come up, and it just seems like we get in certain areas that we're around the same businesses or same entities, the church being one of them. We've just been around for a long time now on all the corners. Hopefully, we will soon be done there. One of the things that we are trying to work with all the contractors is to leave as smooth and manageable pedestrian surface as possible. That's difficult when we're dealing with concrete because we can't pour it right away. We also, if we've backfilled a lot of gravel, we try and have it smooth. I know we've had an incident with a bicycle, and we've had an incident with a pedestrian where we've had some falls. We will continue to work on that, work on bridging, plating, and all the rest of that stuff. We try and keep out a significant amount of orange so people are aware that there's a hazard. People will still walk around stuff. We've had people walk in holes, that kind of stuff. It's going to happen, but we're aware of that and try and police it. And again, we'd ask, Dennis Overman's done an amazing job of talking with the businesses and entities down here. If you all see anything, let myself or Dennis know and we'll come down. For example, last week we had that big wind that came through downtown. It's amazing. It blew over. Some of you may have seen we've got an aluminum bridge that's working at a business downtown. It blew that over, which was held down by rebar and all the rest of it. We really wouldn't expect it, kind of a little freak deal. But thankfully, nobody was injured by blowing stuff down there, but it's, kind of disruptive. The other thing is we do have people move cones and barrels. Unfortunately, just remind people that it's a good idea not to do that. But that does happen as well. So we try and go through and police it as much as we can. As far as our timing, we think the duct run should be finished as far as the tubes itself being put into the ground in July. We're hoping more towards the sooner than the latter, but by the end of July, should have it done. Bowden should be fairly close behind with concrete. He's going to have to do some night work, which is going to create some issues. As far as the street lights and the irrigation system, they follow with Bowden, and that's getting put in on top of it. So again, kind of looking kind of July time, maybe into August for that. And then we've got the signals, which are going to take a little bit longer because the signals themselves have been ordered, but you will see that some of the poles that will support the mast arms are actually being put in. Those are being installed. I know that's creating some disruptions on those corners as we move down Main Street. We also have had to gone in and break some of the concrete out. Those are not precisely located on plans because there's the existing lights. So some of those, so we can have both of them there at the same time. So we've taken out some concrete. That'll get repoured and fixed up when we're done. So again, we look at a good portion of this being done this summer. The issue is going to be for the parts we need to order We'll wait for the bollards, that's gonna take a while. We won't do the streets where we have the bollards because we won't pave before we get the stuff to put in. So again, we have a few more pieces, and I'll be able to update those as we get better ideas on the ordering of that. Some of that stuff gets into, our pricing we're able to avoid tariffs. I don't know if we're gonna have any delivery disruptions based on what we have, kind of our geopolitics right now. But as of right now, it looks like that stuff will be coming this fall. Our traffic signals will be in this fall, so that's likely towards the end of the year. And the paving is the piece that will be kind of unknown because that, as far as the finishing of the street surfaces, that will be the part that's kind of unknown because we have to have everything buttoned up so we're not going in repeatedly and tearing up the same streets. Then finally, there are, we went through quite a process to pick the trees for this, and they're smaller, kind of compact trees. In some of the areas, we have some awnings that the trees are going under, and we're working through solutions on the best way to handle those. What we probably will look at is putting in some kind of metal fixture that looks like the tree grates, but we probably won't have the trees in those. But we'll have the option for installing trees or plantings later if there's something that's done with the awning, some kind of difference. So trying to come up with some solutions as we work around, each of these pieces. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. And if there's some specific questions or concerns, happy to answer.
There's a couple of downtown structures, one of them being the church, that has had infestation of rats since this, and I don't know if when we dug up the sewage system, if we started, I have no idea. I just had several reports of rats in the Presbyterian Church where they've had to kind of move offices. They've had people come in to try to get rid of them, and they're having trouble. So I don't know. Again, this is just a crazy thing.
Yeah,
so
not being, I would have to defer to a exterminator or some kind of pest control for that. Yeah, for our part, we haven't removed any structures around there. Obviously, tearing stuff up, but the sewer work we did is a couple years ago. And most of that is sanitary sewer. Right. The drainage that you'd most likely have that type of animal in would be the storm sewers, because the others hopefully sealed. We don't want to have a lot of openings to that. So, I'm not sure, or any disturbances in any of these alleyways and food places could make a difference, but, so.
And I'm just making, because several people have approached me.
Sure. And we do, we are, spurious or not, we have definitely correlation to things that are going on downtown. So there are, whether it's an impact or whether it's just happened to be coincidental, we're here, so.
Also, I know that, and which I appreciate, we're trying to do as little as possible to repeat, like paving, striping, those kind of things. But in the areas where concrete's already finished and there are parking, can we get some stripes? I've had several requests for that.
Yeah, let me talk to Glenn about that. And we'll just, as far as scheduling it.
It's like painting lines.
Yeah, we have very specific, we have very specific direction on what we can do on Main Street, because that cannot change from what it is.
Right.
We've had enough changes in a few areas. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on what we're describing, because again, it goes to where we had some, looked at maybe having EV, and those EVs have been moved from those locations. Just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page on the final piece from the plans. Because we sat in a meeting, it was in February of '22, and it was declared there would be no more changes to the plans. So, yeah.
Well, I just know that like down Denver and in some areas in Commerce that are completed, even though we're not done.
Yeah, well, the parts, again, there will be, that concrete will be exposed. The asphalt will go in and butt up next to that. And so I would believe that we could get in there and paint that. yeah, I just want to make sure that both are, from paving side of Blackstone and then also with the city, that everybody's on the same page so we do it correctly, so. Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
I've just got one issue I want to bring up. I spoke with the mayor about this several months ago, and I know there's probably a plan, but that's our handicap parking on our city side streets. Can you tell us what the latest is on that, or are they already set, or is this something we gotta do as we go along here?
Well, there are, there's not an ADA requirement, that's a city piece to it for what they have down. So, like, we have identified an example of this is, in the bumper-to-bumper parking lot owned by the Lowe's there, they have essentially donated a spot, a handicap spot that will be made within that parking lot for the Legion next door. So that one has, been added. We know that there will be one, behind the 500 building next to we know where some of these are located. If you have different ideas of where you think they need to be, that would be a discussion to have with Glenn as far as the piece. I mean, we have them identified where they will go in. I just don't have a list of it. Like, there's one, I think, in front of, like, C&D Drug on B Street that will remain. There's one in the parking lot of the Housing Authority that will get dressed up. So those, I don't want to say all the ones that they'll remain the same, but there will be no less spots. I do know that. And I know we've added a couple, as well for some of these other places.
Okay, thank you. I'll get with Glenn and make sure we've got a plan.
Yeah.
Is there any other questions?
I have a question for Kenneth.
All right. Yay. Thank you.
The sidewalk project on Main Street at Knoxville, right in front of Check H, there's a gap between where we have the existing sidewalk and reaching the street.
Yes, sir.
Is that something that we're going back and filling in?
We did that job in 2 phases. That's the second phase of the job, and what that entails is we're going to add pedestrian crossings in that area. So yeah, that's why we left that open right now, because when we do that part of the job, it would all gotten torn out anyway. So yes, it's definitely coming.
Thank you.
And that box is getting fixed too there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's all, it's.
Are we gonna get some bollards for it so we can keep people from hitting it?
We're moving it about 8 foot back. If they hit it then, I don't know what to say.
Well, don't challenge them.
No, in my 28 years, I've seen it hit at least 4 times.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you. One other thing before we move on, it was brought to my attention, it would probably be a good time, even though you're not excused youth council seniors, that recognizing, would all of our senior youth council members, would you stand, please? We'll try to get you recognized at the regular meeting too, but I just wanted to tell you how proud we are of you, and we expect you to go on, now that you know so much about city government, and go on and carry that out through the rest of your life, and that you're still on the youth council until July, so you can't quit yet, all right? Thank you. Okay, personnel has no report. Finance, we've gone through that. Let's look at our unfinished old business items. Consideration of an ordinance authorizing extension of sewer outside the city limits, the city of Russellville, Arkansas, to 1285 East Gum Street. Is Mr. Haggerty here, or anybody else representing that project? Okay, I was hoping to hear something from them, but and please comment on any of these as we go along.
We've talked about this a couple of times, and are we going to require them to be up to code? Was there an issue with them being up to code before we allow them to connect to the,
I can have planning come up here, but one of the issues of the idea is that they want sewer, they want to connect to sewer, and then they want to be annexed in when the project's finished. The issue would be they don't have to come up to our code until after the project's finished, then the project's finished. So that would mean the city taking in another project that down the line is not, for example, they'll have no fire protection
Right.
on Tri-County water. Because I called Tri-County and they said, absolutely not. We do not have that kind of flow. Ms. Marchant is up here
Real-
that is the expert, and so go ahead, Mr. Culler.
Just real quick, just to bring it to the council's attention, I can't remember if it's new business item 3 or 4, but in one of those where we're making amendments to either the zoning and land use. One of the amendments that is being proposed by the long-term planning and the planning commission is changing the process where moving forward, if we extend water and or sewer, that we would then be requiring them to follow city code from the beginning. So something that we need to be aware of is that if we vote, or when we vote on item 1, if we vote to pass it, that we will then be considering something that would fundamentally change what it is that we're asking from every project from this one moving forward. Yeah.
Ms. Marchant?
Okay, do you have any questions like directly for me as far as this goes?
What are, if we do not approve this,
Okay.
their next step would be to have to become up to code before we approve?
My understanding is their next step would be either they could build, I believe, up to a triplex without needing any connections to the city, or they would have to reapply to get the connection and meet whatever requirements you all would want them to meet at that point, would be my understanding if you denied at this point.
If the one of the main concerns is the flow issue, not being able to fight a fire, they can't fix that, can they? I mean, they can't bring that up because that's not the size line that Tri-County has.
I would think that would be a question for fire building and safety, and I don't
Yeah, what
think
they-
anyone's here. I can't really speak to fire
If you
protection.
look at the map out there, over one street over is city water. There's a fire hydrant there, and so an option for them would be to connect to city water. Then they would have fire protection that would meet city standards, and the insurance rates for the owner would go way down. They'd go from an ISO of 5 down to 2 on their insurance rates.
The other thing is, he claims he doesn't want to be annexed in. That was a requirement that the planning commission, I think, put on him, that
Afterwards, right?
Yeah, that was a requirement that was, it was suggested by staff or recommended by staff, and when Planning Commission approved this to send to the council, that was the recommendations that it was sent to us on. Again, keep in mind that he's wanting the sewer, doesn't want the water, but we are going to be looking at an amendment that will require, if you want one or the other, that you have to do all these other things moving forward.
Can we ask him to annex first? I mean, can we deny this and ask him to annex first? Or does that help us any here? I guess I don't understand why we're not making him annex first and we're just saying you can do it anytime afterwards. If that was part of the recommendation, why don't we just do it now? And then if he doesn't want to do that, then we have to reconsider.
Mr. Smith, is that something we can require?
Can ask, but the condition, the sewer is conditioned on him. It's a condition for it, to do it. So, I've had discussions with Sarah about this, about an implementation of doing the extension and then the person never following through. And I think we have a remedy for that now, but in the future, but not now. But he could always annex in and then reapply for sewer. So yes, you could do that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
perfect.
Any others on item 1? Okay, thank you, Ms. Marchand. Item 2 is consideration of ordinance amending the current zoning code of the City of Russellville, Arkansas, ordinance number 2443, and for other purposes, presented by the Planning Commission. So I guess, Ms. Marchand, you're back on. All right. Okay, item number 3, consideration of an ordinance vacating and abandoning a 20-foot alley between lots 12 and 13, block 42 of Jail Shin Edition, submitted by RVI Investments LLC as the second of third readings. Okay, if there's nothing on that. Item 4, discussion regarding Phoenix Innovation parking lot and an open discussion about the entire situation surrounding the parking lot repair and resurface. Any comment? Yes.
I would say since Mr. Harrison was unable to be here tonight, we weren't able to get ADEC here, or AEDC.
AEDC. yeah.
AEDC, sorry. Would the council entertain the idea of adding this to our working session the other night so we can have a conversation? Again, invite AEDC and Mr. Harrison and his partners so that we can have a discussion about what all's going on with this in a more relaxed setting.
I would say whatever the council decides, per Mr. Pistone's request, that we would make the presentations the first part of the agenda.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
want to do that. I do want to go ahead and do the,
Yeah, well, the
the
playhouse,
church
the
first.
proposed church thing, all the different uses out there. We need. Let's do that one first. So they don't have to sit through. That would be twice that we've done
Most
that to them.
definitely. I don't want to bump them again. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to bump them again. But I would like to have, no one's here to have the conversation with us tonight, so we can just talk amongst ourselves, but
What is it that we plan to learn from AEDC that we don't already know?
I spoke with Mr. Harrison, and by the way, he would have been here tonight, but I told him given that AEDC had some scheduling issues, and so I said, so I'm just, we'll try to come up with another plan. Apparently, the grant is what he told me. I don't, that the ADC is going to come tell us that one of the grant that they got for the equipment could not have been used for a parking lot per their rules. But I don't know that to be, that's just what I was told about AEDC. But they were going to come, and they're still willing to come talk to us.
But
so.
My question is, does that change in the wording of the agreement that we have with them? The grant is not in there? The fact that the grant was going to be used or not used is not in that wording of that legal documentation. And therefore, but us paying for parking lot is, right? It's the way I understand this.
Well, that was in the seller's agreement.
That legally,
but
we are responsible for that.
I think you said the magic word legally. Trey, would you like to talk on that?
Again, I don't think you were at that meeting where the city was told that these grants were going to be used for it, and along with Mr. Harrison being there. So I believe even, it'll be interesting to see ADC contradict their own emails where they said the grant could be used for it, should there be more paperwork. But in the end, all of that induced the city was these grants would be used for the parking lot, which was Mr. Harrison's understanding, yet he took the money and used it for equipment. So no,
My question is, Mr. Smith, is the parking lot still in the agreement?
I understand.
And so we weren't there, and a conversation that was had in a meeting, I would assume, has a different legal weight than the piece of paper that was signed and voted on by the full council. That's just, and again, if it says in the agreement, we have to pay for their parking lot, then
And we sponsored the money and gave it to him with that intent. And
is there
and
legal?
there's also, and there is, the other side of the coin, which you seem to be forgetting, is there is nothing in the agreement where where the city was going to sponsor economic development to buy equipment. Even the ADC in their messages stated this was in lieu of, and that's what everybody at the city believed.
So, Mr. Keller,
I guess the other thing you could say is, if you want to pay for the parking lot, then let's ask for the money we gave him back for the equipment, which we never, there is nothing in the agreement that says that that money should have gone to it. Do you agree with that?
I don't want to pay for the parking.
Right.
I want to know if we are legally obligated to pay for the parking.
And I said no.
If we go to court and lose, but
Sure, but then we'll also ask, I would assume that we would also ask for the money back for the equipment that nobody ever agreed to, unless you're going to just say that's a freebie.
But why
Well-
was there nothing mentioned about the grant in the contract, period? I guess that's my struggle. Is it because we didn't have it yet?
the grant wasn't the city's money in the first place.
Yes,
Okay.
it was a pass-through.
So they don't
Yeah.
have to pay us back for that.
So if we do end up having a working session, I would love to have the folks from the River Valley Economic Development Alliance to come as well. At the meeting where we discussed this project and moved forward on it, the chair of the River Valley Economic Alliance at the time made a commitment to the city that, one, these grants would be used to cover parking and the fence, but also said, and you can hear it in the recordings that were provided for us, that the city wouldn't be out any money for this even if we didn't get the grants. And as it was my understanding, and the other members of the council at the time, is what he was saying was, whether we get the grants or not for the parking and the fence, the city will not have to pay for these, because it was, from what I took, implied that that was something that the River Valley Alliance for Economic Development was going to do. Unfortunately, he's no longer with the alliance, but I think that that would be something that current leadership could talk about as far as a commitment that was made from their representative at that time.
well, given all the discussion here, I think moving this to the working session and getting all those entities invited would be the best. That way we can get all this aired out with all the parties in the room, and then the council can go forward with a decision then, it seems to me. Isn't that, Mr. Keller, is it 21st?
Yeah, that was
suggested?
what we suggested earlier.
Can you make sure the mayor gets all these folks invited?
So we're going to have the council, the mayor, and the city. We're going to have the Phoenix Innovation. We're going to try to get
Yep.
the economic development
AEDC.
folks, and River Valley Alliance for Economic Development.
And and I guess we need Ms. Selman from Chamber as well. You got her? Okay. Okay, any further discussion on that item? Yeah. Yeah, and then Mr. Harrison, yeah. Okay, new business.
Would
go
it be
ahead.
possible when we invite Mr. Harrison that he also make sure that his partners are with him you know, I don't want to get into a situation where, so we sit and we talk for, you know, an hour about this and come to some sort of resolution, that he then has to go ask the other people that he's in business with as to whether or not that is acceptable, and then say it's not, and then we're right back at square one.
Okay, we'll ask for Mr. Harrison and his ownership partners as well. It's a good suggestion, thank you. Anything else on that one? Okay, new business, item 1, consideration of resolution to remove an unoccupied dilapidated structure, providing a lien on the property to recover costs associated with removal of the structure upon non-payment and for other purposes. It's located at 204 Wisteria. It's submitted by code enforcement. And I believe we have our code enforcement officer here.
How y'all doing? If you don't know me, I'm Perry Whitby, code enforcement officer. This case was thrown on me a few weeks ago. I didn't know anything about it, so I had to learn a lot about what was going on. And the reason we boarded it up and sealed it off because he was living inside of a burnt building with no power, no water. So we sealed it up and just bringing it to you about condemning it, but all of a sudden he's trying to sell the house to Mr. Frankhouse here. And if you have any questions about that, because that's where I'm at now, I don't know if we should keep going forward with this or see what Mr. Frankhouse has. Because it cost us about $25,000 to tear it down and remove it. Or
But that would be recovered with the lien, correct?
in the lien. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything from anybody? Oh, yes, yes. If you'll state your name and affiliation, please.
Who put that there? My name is Chuck Frankhouse. I just purchased the house yesterday, or did a buy-sell agreement with the owner. I just found out just recently that the house was available for sale. Our daughter lives on the same street and let us know that. We talked to the owner. The house had a fire. He was living it by himself. It was the old family home. Did not have any insurance. He does not have a job. He cannot make the repairs needed to live in the house. So he has agreed to sell it to us. We took it over to Heritage Title to go through the process, you know, for title and deed. And we would like to redo the house. It's a very structurally sound house, but it has had a fire. And it needs probably $30,000 worth of work done on the inside. But it's a nice house in an affluent neighborhood, and it's worth putting that into. And we do that as a business. You know, we own over 150 properties in the state of Arkansas, and we do a lot of rehabbing of properties. And
Okay.
actually, what we want to do is, since our daughter lives down the street, we want to fix it up for our other daughter to move into with her family, because that way they'd be close to each other.
Any questions for Mr. Frankhouse from anyone?
Not for Mr. Frankhouse, but I have a question for Victoria. Sorry. So let's say, so the property's now changed hands since I guess yesterday.
I
Hang
just
on,
found
he's
out
addressing
yesterday
it.
and made an offer on it, and he accepted our offer. We took it down to Heritage Title. They said it would take 2 weeks for, title to be completed and a deed to be done. So,
You want us to not vote to remove the structure, obviously.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
And I said, we have a track record of fixing properties. I've got my contractor's license. You know, it's just something that we know how to do. And I would think it'd be a shame to tear down a structure like that.
You are wanting to use this for familial use, not for renting out?
No, this is for our daughter to move into.
Can we table this
so
tonight? or do we have
Victoria,
to
would
wait?
this be something that we would potentially want to enter into, like a rehab agreement on that? Or maybe that would be a question for you.
If you want to abide the city's timelines,
I'd almost believe we should pull a rehab agreement on it because of the extent of the damage and the extent of the damage that, to the exterior, you know, the siding looks terrible, the windows are broken out. But that's the main complaint from the residents in that area there, that, the eyesore it was. The guy was bringing in stuff and leaving it in the front yard. On bulk week, he went out and picked up all kinds of bulk stuff. We spent $2,000 cleaning that place up. So,
So then would a rehab agreement on the property be something that we might look into doing so that we could not tear it down, but then have a plan moving forward for the fixing of the property?
Our plan initially, after getting it, is to replace the windows and the door and the burnt siding on the whole outside of the house so that it's not ugly to the neighborhood. Because a lot of elderly people live here and they do not want something that looks ugly in their neighborhood. So
Our
I've
city
talked to
attorney,
many of the neighbors and they are all very happy about that.
okay, our city attorney, and Trey, please jump in here, said that we could do an agreement with a strict timeline because Mr. Whitby's put a lot of work in on this. The city has and spent resources, so I'm thinking that I'm going to be looking for something that would be a very quick turnaround with a set of agreements on what would be done and what would not be done to make that happen. That's the only way I think this council would, I'm not going to speak for the whole council, but I would want to see something that's quick and a quick turnaround and that the city has, that we can oversee how this is going to happen because it's not fair to our city employees to go out and work hard on these kind of things to, as Mr. Smith just advised me, we'd have to have a good timeline or we could be coming, 3 years from now, we could be still waiting for this to be rehabbed.
So, Mr. Frankhouse, would you be willing to, between now and next Thursday, work with Victoria and Sarah and the folks over in planning on hammering out a rehab agreement that we could get next week?
By all means.
Great.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Whitby?
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, that's a good point. I believe it's number 6. If we could just keep Mr. Whitby up there and move to that one, consideration of a resolution to remove an unoccupied dilapidated structure, providing for a lien on the property, recover costs associated with removal of the structure upon non-payment for other purposes at 215 East Circle Drive. And you do have an updated document from code enforcement that was at your position here tonight.
well, the house was named uninhabitable when Bill Clark was a code enforcement officer. I guess it kind of fell through the cracks. And I've been working on it for the last 3 years, trying to get this thing tore down or get a hold of somebody to get in touch with. And we have not been able to get in touch with the LLC that owns the house. And so I'm trying to move forward with it to get it taken out because it is an eyesore. It's the backyard has got 10 foot of weeds growing up, and the front yard's kept claimed by the neighbor because he parks his cars in the front yard. So we're just working on trying to get it tore down.
Any questions? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Whitby. Back to item 2, consideration of resolution setting a public hearing to vacate 10-foot of South Greenwich right-of-way adjacent to Lot 6 and 7, Block 9. This is at 816 South Greenwich. Anything we need to know about this one, or is it self-explanatory?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, seeing none. Item 3, consideration of ordinance amending current zoning code for the city of Russellville. It's 2443 again. Assuming nothing there, since we were familiar with that one. Consideration of an ordinance amending current land subdivision. This is item 4. Development code of the city of Russellville, Arkansas, adopted by ordinance 2444.
Just so folks know, on items 3 and 4, these were items that were originally part of the old business item 2 that were taken out, waiting for the legislature to make up their mind on a couple different things. They did.
Correct.
And so like it cleans up some language, but it also deals with accessory dwellings.
Yes.
Which is something that I know that we as a city have been working on for a while.
Okay, and then item 5, consideration of ordinance approving a replat of parts of lots 5 and 6, block 111 of JL Shin Edition, and accepting public rights of way contained within the replats at 301 East H. Any questions on that one, or anything for Ms. Marchand?
What is the purpose of the replat?
Yeah, absolutely. So the applicant came in to replat this property. There's an existing house on it, and they're wanting to subdivide the back portion off that is vacant so they can redevelop that for a new single-family house, is my understanding. And then they're having to dedicate right-of-way because they owned a portion of the street.
Thank you.
All right, our final item, well, we've already done our final item. So just a reminder, Finance Committee meeting, June 10th, 2025 at 5:30, followed by City Council agenda prep. And then please note the change, that should say Tuesday, June 17th. Because of Arkansas Municipal League, we'll be meeting on Tuesday, the 17th, instead of the 19th as usual. All right? Any adjournment? Oh, whoop, got one other thing?
So I just want to make sure I have this clear. Nate just texted me, and he's not available on the 21st. So I don't know if you guys want to move it all together to a different date to do all of them, or you want to have 2 working sessions with him on another time, or you, what?
That'd probably be better.
Okay, do y'all, he told me dates that he's available. Would y'all like to decide?
I would like to hear them.
Okay, hang on just a second. He is gone from 5/19 through the 23rd, so he could do any time kind of before or after. He could do the 24th, 25th, or whatever's good for y'all.
24, those are Saturdays. So
Oh, I don't
That's
know. I don't
Memorial
know.
Day weekend.
What's that following?
What about something the first week in June?
You let me know what you want.
Well, I'm asking the group.
Oh,
Sometime that first week in June. So like the 3rd or the 4th or the 5th. Anytime between like the 2nd and the 6th.
I'm out that whole week, but I don't want to stop everything just because of me.
which day? She said, how about the 3rd, June 3rd? Would that work for you guys?
Works for me.
I will not be here, but that's okay.
Do you want me to zoom you in? Okay. At what time are you wanting to start both of these meetings, on the 21st and June 3rd at 5:30?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, is there anything else? Anybody?
Victoria just told me the mayor is out on June 3rd, so let's go back to the drawing board, and I apologize. And I do not like to speak on this.
Paul, you said that you were leaving or going to be gone for a portion of time that week.
Me?
Yeah.
I am in Cleveland until June the 10th. I'll get back, and I'll be racing here from the airport to come to the agenda prep.
So what about like the 29th of May?
Could it not
Okay.
just be the night of agenda prep?
It could
Yeah, we can do that. We can just do it on the 10th.
make for another long night, but yeah.
Okay, May 10th is
But-
when we're going to do Nate, after the agenda prep.
June 10th.
June 10th.
Okay, so but we talked about doing a working session.
That's what I'm talking about.
So if we do it, agenda prep, traditionally working sessions are done downstairs. It's more informal. So we'd come up here and do agenda prep and then go down.
But you also have a special called meeting that night because you're going to do the theater thing. If you have all your, you had already mentioned that. So this is going to go for a long night, going from agenda prep to a special called meeting to a working session.
I
So
don't
I'm
see a
just
choice though, given
throwing that out there.
it's holiday weekend and none of us can come to an agreement on something, so.
What about May 27th?
So it's looking like I still propose a marathon on the 10th.
He is because I think he's going to conference.
Well, and that's also agenda prep anyway, so.
Okay.
As far as I can tell from his calendar.
June 10th. Oh my gosh. This is the most I've ever spoken on this thing.
Are we in agreement on June 10th? Everybody bring a sack lunch and. Yeah, maybe we probably should order pizza or something that night.
If we can get an
And I do recommend
if
that
we
we
can
go
get an
downstairs.
appropriation.
Yeah, yeah. We good? Okay, so June 10th after our agenda prep. We'll
So
have the
June
working
10th,
session.
we're going to have finance, agenda prep, special call meeting, and then Phoenix Innovation.
Yeah, so no one put
work.
anything on the agenda.
Okay. Hey, for those seniors in the youth council, we're going to send you guys off in style.
Anything else? A motion to adjourn.
So moved.